Hey everyone, this is Jennifer with Midwest Wilderness Connections again, going through an app to show you how you can use it to identify birds. So the Cornell Labs Merlin app is for a smartphone, and you can use it in several ways to identify birds. And so what I'm going to do is just walk you through some of these features. The first one is just start bird ID. The second one's photo ID. The third one is explore birds. You can use this photo ID tool that's really slick. The first thing we do is we click on photo ID, and you can choose to take a photo. If you've got the bird right in front of you, it's something you do quickly before it takes off, you could do that. Or if you've taken a picture of a bird and you're trying to go in after the fact, you can use the choose the photo. So that is what I'm going to do right now. And I am going to pick this photo that I took just the other day. And what you were trying to do is to get the bird, you want to get it big enough that you're almost filling from line to line. In my particular case, it's horizontal, so I'm trying to get the beak to the left line and the tail as close to the right line as I can. And then I hit next. Then it asks, please confirm when and where you took the photograph. I'm going to edit the location, and I was in Tolono, Illinois. And it pops up in the list below, and you just use your finger and tap on Tolono, Illinois. And the date, I'm going to go over here and hit edit. And I saw it on the 20th of April. I touched the 20th of April, and it just populated. There is an option down below. You could say, I don't know, and just ask the app to just use the photo itself, identify the bird. Now we've got everything populated. I go down to identify, and I click that green button. Here's where it gives you its best matches for the bird in your photo. In this particular case, it was a northern cardinal. That's correct. So what you can do in this case is you can scroll through photos. So this first photo is of a male. The second photo is a female. The third photo is a juvenile. And you can just keep scrolling through these pictures to see if in fact that is the bird you're looking for. So I kept going and pulling until we ran out of pictures. And this is where you can adjust some of your answers to try to see if you can get better ID. If you can't get any reported matches, you can click that report no matches. What happens is it sends your record to the folks that are keeping this Merlin app up and running, and they may be able to use the photo that you have provided to add it to their database, so that in the future, whether you or someone else goes in and has a bird that's very similar to the one in your picture, then you can get more accurate matches. For those of you who have viewed my tutorial on the BirdNet bird sound ID app, it's kind of the same situation where the more photos that are sent in, the more people use the app, the better it's going to get. So let's click backward and go back to best matches. And so I am going to hit in the top left, you can see best matches, the green arrow. I went back. In this particular case, there were only two matches. There's this northern cardinal, and there was a hepatic tanager. And down here it notes this is a rare bird, and it's not in one of the bird packs that I have loaded into this app. So when you download this app, once it's installed, it's going to ask you what bird packs you want to have downloaded into your app. In my particular case, majority of the time I'm in the upper Midwest, so I have the upper Midwest bird pack in there. If I'm going to be traveling, going down to the southeast or west, I can add those bird packs for my trip that the app knows to pull potential species from those locations, because I will be in those regions. That's something to just keep in mind. The really neat thing here you can do is, if you look, it says this is my bird button under the cardinal. If you click on the left, which is the icon that lets you know that you can listen to a sound bite, so you can listen to a call. So if you actually heard the bird call, this may also be very helpful. The right of "This is my bird" is the green circle with an eye in it. If you click on that, you can read the information about cardinal. It explains what they look like, how to identify them, different features to look for. There are some differences between the males and females, and where you typically find them may be helpful to identify the bird. So in this particular case, yes, we have the right bird. So we click the button that says "This is my bird." You can save with Merlin, and that means it's going to save that record in Merlin. Or you can say "Take me to eBird." And it's going to take you straight over to eBird, where you can go in and put in location, the time, the date, and you can document that cardinal, that it goes into the eBird databases that they're tracking bird locations. I'm going to feature that in another tutorial, so for right now we're not going to do that. I'm just going to go back and click "This is my bird," and I'm going to say "Save with Merlin," and you can see down below it says "Remember my choice." If you want to always use that selection every time you use the app, you have the option of turning that on here. We'll go to Save with Merlin. You need to have a Cornell lab account. You can create an account, or you can sign in if you already have an account. And so right here, it is asking me to choose a location. So I was in Tolono, Illinois. Hit the next button. And I'm just going to right now say "in town" as the location name. Hit next, and you can see there it's dropped a pin in the map, and it was April 20th of 2021. Hit save, and you've saved your sighting. So that's how you can use the tool to identify a bird using photos. So what if you don't have a photo? That's when you can use the Start ID option, which is this top one. You put in your city or zip code, or you can click down below. It says your current location, and click that. You can use a map, the Select from Map option. The list below, it gives all of the locations you have been recently and use this app. So we're just going to pick the Tolono, Illinois. Need to put in "I saw that bird on April 20th. Hit the next button. You then have to answer the question, what size is the bird? So they using examples. So the thing that's very small would be sparrow sized or smaller. It could be between sparrow or robin. This is robin sized. This is crow sized. This is between a robin and a crow. This is goose size or larger. Or if it's between a crow size and a goose size, you guys kind of see how this is going. In this particular case, we're going to say that the bird was robin sized. Hit the next button. And here's where you can select the main colors on the bird. And in this particular case, we were looking at that cardinal. We're using that as our example. So we would hit red, rufous, and black. You can select up to 3 colors. Make sure they're main colors of the bird. If there are just these slight bits of color on the bird, by choosing that, you could throw off potential matches of the bird. You guys will get used to that as you use the app, but really try to stick to main colors. The next button, I'm going to ask, where was this bird? What was it doing? So here they're going to use the behavior of the bird to help whittle down the list to the potential species. In this particular case, he was in trees or bushes. You can see you've got an option: eating at a bird feeder, swimming or wading. It was on the ground. It's on a fence or a wire, or soaring or flying. We're going to hit identify now that we've added all of the information they're looking for. Once again, here we come. You're coming up with the northern cardinal and the hepatic tanager again. Let's go back again. We're going to start over one more time. So we're going to put almost everything in the same. And here what we're going to do is what were the main colors, we're just going to put red. Last time I did red and black. This time we're just going to do red alone, then hit next. It was in trees or bushes, so that's going to stay the same, and hit identify. What you're going to find out here is because I only chose one color, red, I have more than just the northern cardinal now as a potential bird that I am finding. If I go down below, now it's giving me the selection of a red-winged blackbird, an American robin, a red-bellied woodpecker, a brown thrasher, northern flicker, eastern bluebird, downy woodpecker, eastern towhee, belted kingfisher, a house finch, barn swallow, American kestrel. And you get to the bottom, and that's where they start giving you options of what you can do to identify that bird. You can report that there were no matches so that they can get some information on that inability to find a match for you. So just like with the cardinal, you can go in and listen to the calls. I'm going to show you real quick. We'll just do, and you can see too, let me zip back up. If the bird is rare or uncommon, you can see here with the red-bellied woodpecker, it states that this bird is uncommon. Where it's getting that information is on that eBird website that you could start a checklist of birds where it's using data from eBird based on people documenting species in that area that you have entered in here, which was for this illustration, Tolono. It's letting you know if the species is not typically found there. So kind of gives you a heads up, a flag that this might not be the one. Be cautious. Now, in my particular case, I know in Tolono, there are just a few people documenting birds down here. It's not that it's uncommon, just that submitted records are uncommon. That's a little caveat you need to keep in mind, because they do, in fact, occur, and they're common in Tolono. So some of this is just based on the available data. Keep that in mind. And like here, we've gotten to the eastern bluebird. Now it's stating the eastern bluebird is rare in Tolono. It may occur in Tolono. I personally have never seen one in Tolono. So, that it may be more accurate than what it was stating up above for the red-bellied woodpecker. So let's go back to the main page. So we've gone through the photo ID, gone through the start bird ID. Now we can zip down to explore birds. Here, what it does is it gives you a listing of birds. In this particular case, it's starting with a waterfowl first, and then you scroll down and you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, we have silhouettes, different types of birds. So the first one is a silhouette of a duck, so you know that's going to take you to your waterfowl if you touch it. I touch on the wading birds. It looks like a great blue heron, which is the third option down. It's going to jump me down to that section. If it's a hawk that I'm looking at, I can click on the silhouette of the hawk, which is the fifth one down. All right, so that's how you can jump around using the silhouettes. The other thing you can do, though, if you get to the very top of the page on the right, there's a series of 3 horizontal bars, widest being at the top, shortest being at the bottom, so it looks like an upside down triangle. If you click on that, you can start filtering which bird packs. I only have right now the Midwest bird pack on my smartphone, so I don't have to pick a bird pack, but what can whittle this list down where it doesn't have all the birds in the Midwest. It whittles them down to the likely birds. So if I click likely birds, then it's going to say likely birds for where. I put in Tolono. Now it's got February 1st. I'm just going to leave that for now. Sort them by most likely, by their bird's family, by the family that's most likely, or alphabetic. And you can turn on if you want it to hide birds on your life list. We're not going to do that, but we're just going to say likely birds. And then you just click outside of that area, and what you're going to see then is that the species list has been shortened. So now you're just looking at the most that are likely to be in your location, and then what you're seeing is you're seeing the bar charts for the Canada goose. You see that series of lines that's showing you when Canada goose is present. The bottom that chart, you see it starts with a J, F, M, A, M, J, J, A, the months of the year. Let's look at the greater white-fronted goose. What this bar chart is telling you is that November through April, greater white-fronted goose could be found. Do you see in the bar charts, though, some of the squares for the month are bigger or smaller? Bigger the bar is, that dark gray bar, means the more prevalent they are. It's even more likely you're going to find them then. You look in for that greater white-fronted goose, you look for October, there's just a dashed line. It means there's a scant chance. It has been documented, but not very often. And so that's how you use these bar charts. The black line, the black vertical line, all of these is February because, when we filtered, I said I'm just going to leave this February 1st. So what it's doing is it's putting that black line at the date you specified so that you can see exactly where in that bar chart that bird falls at date. Let's pick the green-winged teal. You click on the green-winged teal and up pops where you can go look through the pictures, double check, make sure that is the correct identification of the bird you found. Below it tells you again it's uncommon for the particular location where you are. So there's a kind of a red flag or a yellow flag. And it gives a description of how to identify the bird, how to identify the females, then what are their behaviors, their foraging behaviors. So these are dabbling ducks, this is diving ducks. You can click on the next tab. Here's where you can listen to calls. We'll just do the male calls and display real quick. And as you can see, it's got the sonogram going. For those of you who viewed the BirdNet tutorial, you learned a little bit about the sonograms, which is just basically taking sound and graphing it. And the next tab at the top at the right is Map. And here it will show you just kind of crudely range, the distribution of that species. Year-round is in purple. Area where the bird goes through during migration is in yellow. The breeding range is in red. Blue is the non-breeding range, which is typically the overwintering areas for the species. So now that we've gone through that profile and you've been able to see everything you can do there, we're going to go up where it says green-winged teal. We've got the green arrow to the left. Click that to get back to our list. And then you can go through and search other species that you would be interested in learning more about. As you can see on that main menu, when you click on it, there is an option for life list. If I click on that, you can see there's a 262 to the right of it in kind of slate colored text. Those are the number of birds on my life list. If I just click that selection, then it brings up the birds that I have ever documented in eBird. And lists them all here, so it keeps track of your life list. And so that's just another neat feature that you can access using this app. And as you can see, it lets you know the species. The numbers to the right are the birds that it's ranked. So number one, the first bird I ever documented is going to be a number one. The second bird I ever documented is going to be number two, etc., etc. So what it's showing here is snow goose is the 17th species that I have entered into my life list. And then it lets me know the date and location of those records. So for the snow goose, that would be March 15th of 2009 in Iowa. And what you can do, there are 3 horizontal bars on the right-hand side at the top of the page. If you went with the widest line at the top, the narrowest line at the bottom, if you click on that, you can change the way the birds are ordered in the list. So if I want to say date newest first, it's going to show the most recent birds on my life list. So earlier I mentioned I had 262 species documented, so it's showing the 262nd bird in my list, which was a Lapland longspur, and then you can just see chronologically it just goes down from there. Or you could do it by the oldest first. So my oldest record in eBird was from October 12th, 2006. I was in Colorado, and I identified a black-billed magpie. You can also search the list. To the left of those horizontal bars that we just discussed, there's a magnifying lens. You can click there, and you can pick a species. I am going to start typing in for indigo bunting. That record pops up. I can click on it, and now we're back to the species profile, just like what we had done earlier with the cardinal and the green-winged teal. Going back to the menu, I also see that you have the option that I mentioned earlier about bird packs, and so you can click on where it says bird packs with the silhouette of a bird flying to the left. Click there. It's got 3 options at the top of the page. First option is installed, so it shows you which pack you have installed. You can update that pack from here. You can go to their recommended tab, which is the second one. There you can see they are recommending Midwest, which I already have installed, but they also recommended US and Canada. What you need to pay attention to there is a significant jump in the file size. It's 1 gigabyte for the continental US and Canada, 133 megabytes, just the US Midwest. So what I do is I usually just whittle it down to what I need for where I typically am. If I ever need to expand the list of species, I'll come in and I'll update a pack before I go on a trip. How much this matters to you depends on how much space you have available on your phone to store the data for the app. The third option is all, and here you can see that they have bird packs from all around the world. So if you're going to be taking a trip, or if you happen to live in one of these countries, then this is where you could go and search and find a bird pack that meets your needs. We'll take a look real quick at settings. This is where you can put in basic things like the language that you want to use in the app. This checkbox here, you can check it on if you would like the scientific names displayed along with the common names. You can also point where you want the stored on your device. You can also uninstall the photo ID, and it also gives you an option here where you can see how to save your things using Merlin. So the question is, do you want to submit your sighting through Merlin, or would you prefer submit your sighting through eBird? And so as it states here, when you identify a bird, you can choose to report it on an eBird checklist. Use eBird if you want to keep a complete list of all your sightings that will appear on recent visits, spots, and species maps. If you have more than one species to document, it may be easier or more convenient. Just do that all in your eBird list rather than each individual bird through Merlin. If that's the case, you just want to always do that through eBird. This is a way of whittling out a few clicks when you're using the app. An option here where it talks about donating. They would be able to donate towards this cause. That will help them further improve the app, develop new apps, or develop new features for the apps they already have available. That concludes my rundown of Merlin and how to use it. Hopefully it will help you the next time you're in the field. Share this app with as many people as you can, as well as the tutorial, and definitely leave comments or that others will know what you liked about the app, what you found was challenging, potentially some improvements that could be made, or additional hints or tips that you can provide that will help additional users.